Reducing, reusing, and recycling is very important. If we don't do these three things, then more trash like this and this will end up in our landfills, and the landfills will get bigger and trash will rule the world. One way that we can save the environment is by reducing. And one way for reducing is to turn off the water when you're brushing your teeth. Another way to save the environment is by reusing. And a way to reuse, instead of using a paper plate like this, you could use a dinner plate like this over and over. The last way to save the environment is by recycling things like water bottles. They could be turned into ink cartridges, light fixtures, and even cell phones. In addition to what I showed you, here are some ways that people reduce, reuse, and recycle all over the nation.
One thing that I do here at work is we print a lot of paper. So one thing I do is I reuse that paper for scratch paper and things like that for my notes. So I'll take a bunch of the old pieces of paper that we use and then just reuse it. And then we recycle.
We do a lot of things at our house, recycling newspaper and bottles and cans and those kinds of things. But one of the things I do almost every morning is I have coffee. So I take the coffee grounds and I put them in a pail out in my garage. And I save them, and then when I have quite a bit of them, I bury them in my flower bed to give me fertilizer to help the plants grow. So I'm trying to do that with, some of our waste materials, potato peels and those kinds of things. Use them as a compost to help my plants grow better, and also not to put them in a dump somewhere.
We consume a lot of energy at work because we have a lot of computers. So what I try to do to reduce my energy consumption is I keep all of my machines, all my electronics connected to one power strip. So at the end of the day, when I'm done working, I disconnect the power strip after I've shut down my machines, because when something is still plugged into the wall, it's still taking up energy. So instead of just disconnecting everything one by one, I just disconnect my whole power strip and save some energy.
One of the easiest ways you can reduce, reuse, and recycle is to compost. And so that means taking all this yucky stuff from the refrigerator that's gone squishy, and you throw it in a big pile out in the garden. So you take all your kitchen scraps and you throw them in a great big pile. And I know that seems really, really, really gross, but what it turns into is dirt. And it's just like magic. Actually, it's more like chemistry. But all this stuff turns into, it's like, all that, turns into wonderful dirt in not much time. And so how does it reduce and reuse and recycle? Well, it takes all this stuff and puts the nutrients back in the soil, because it turns it back into dirt. And it also cuts down on the number of garbage bags you need and the number of stuff you throw away. So the amount of stuff you have to haul to the landfill, which just in turn gets food for the seagulls. And instead what you get is dirt. Much of the dirt in this garden came from that pile.
I recycle because I live at a boarding school, and I have 14 boys in my dorm, and instead of just myself recycling, it's 15 of us. So we recycle our bottles and cans. And
one thing our family does to reduce, reuse, and recycle is we use a nature mill composter to take all of our food and scrap materials and compost them so we can grow vegetables on our garden, as opposed to throwing it down the garbage disposal and clogging up all of our water resources.
My family recycles aluminum cans with a local church who uses the money towards missions, foreign missions.
Hi Peyton, my name's Clarence Fisher.
And I'm Christian Fisher.
We live in the small town of Snow Lake in northern Canada, and Christian's got a story to tell you about our school.
In our lunchroom, we have only one garbage can and recycling bins. We recycle quite a lot, actually, and lots of people, and even my dad. He's in 7th and 8th. He teaches 7 and 8, and he has a recycling bin and a recycling thing, and it worked, and lots of people recycle as well. That's all.
What I do to recycle is I collect. I collect soda bottles, big bottles, and even newspapers when you don't need them. You just get them together. I take them to the recycling center to get recycled, and that helps to reuse them for future use instead of having them go to a junkyard or to a dump where they will not be used.
I hope you learned a lot today. Now it's time to do your part.